In this video, we will be discussing the three views of Tracks. Tracks is a control flow tool for assembly language that is part of the AVA project, AVA standing for Assembly Code Visualization and Analysis. In order to run Tracks, we go to the Edit menu from AVA Pro and select it from the plugins. This begins communication as well as launching it. However, Tracks will also run as a standalone executable. We can see that the static control flow information is automatically added to the AVA plugin project. When we expand the file for the calculator executable, we can see a list of all the functions defined within it. We can then double-click a function to see its control flow, or select one of the other options, which include opening a dynamic diagram, a navigation diagram, or a reverse diagram. In other words, how we can reach this function. Double-clicking it, we can see the sequence diagram. Double-clicking on activations will navigate to that function within AVA Pro, and double-clicking on the calls will navigate to where that call was made. The expandable pane at the top of the screen shows which module each function resides in. Those marked with green circles are local to the executable, while those with the purple eye icon are external. The outline pane at the bottom contains a thumbnail view that can be used to navigate around a large sequence diagram. To explore the control flow, we can continue expanding functions of interest to see what calls they make. Since the diagrams are so large, we also have the option to create new routes of the diagram. So if we focus on an activation, it becomes the route. A breadcrumb view at the top can be used to go back again. We also have right-click options to expand and collapse all activations under the selected one. Finally, we can save the state of the diagram for when we want to explore it again. Here we see how creating sequence diagrams for dynamic control flow works with Tracks and AVA Pro. Firstly, there are preferences within Tracks to set the count at which activations with loops will be colored and cycles collapsed. We can also set whether or not to log all calls or just stepped into calls, as well as to log calls within external modules. Here we also can set the preference for all diagrams of whether or not we double-click for navigation within AVA Pro or keep Tracks and AVA Pro synced with the current selection. Next, we will select the debugger within AVA Pro and open the breakpoints list. When we open our dynamic diagram, we can do so through right-clicking on a function, which sets a breakpoint on it, or through a menu command, which sets no breakpoints. Now we run the debugger, which will stop at the entry point where we have set the breakpoint. Then as we step through the program, we can see each function call added within Tracks. External calls are also included. Finally, this trace file can then be saved to the project. Here we see the navigation view, which allows users to record following function calls within AVA Pro. First, we open a new navigation diagram, which asks us which folder it should reside in and in which function to start, the function being optional. With the diagram open, we can begin navigating through calls in AVA Pro and see them being added to the diagram within Tracks. Functions and calls that are not on the current call path are added from the user lifeline. We also obtain module information for external calls. The diagram can then be saved for later use.